Today, we get a chance to hear from Chris Castanes. He is a master. I'm going to tell you, master in sales. He won't admit it, but I'm going to say it. He's a master in sales. He's a speaker. He's an author, and he's going to knock our socks off when it comes to any blocks that we might have around selling and sales.
Welcome to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. LaChelle Wieme, a peak performance coach and business strategist dedicated to helping you see what's possible within you, the blind spots that are holding you back, and the solutions to ensure success and fulfillment without the hustle. I use my secret sauce of metaphysics, brain science, and scripture to work with God to manifest your ideal life and business. If you're ready to create massive forward momentum in your business and bust through the blocks that drag you down, join me on the Spiral Up journey and create the clarity, confidence, and consistency to become the CEO that lives your life by design. It's time to create the sustainable impact, income, and time freedom you desire faster. Now is the time to spiral up.
Hey friends, welcome back to the Spiral Up podcast. I'm your host, Dr. LaChelle Wieme, and today we get a chance to hear from Chris Castanes. He is a master. I'm going to tell you, master in sales. He won't admit it, but I'm going to say it. He's a master in sales. He's a speaker, he's an author, and he's going to knock our socks off when it comes to any blocks that we might have around selling and sales. Chris, we're so glad you're here.
Thank you for having me. It's awesome.
So tell us a little bit about you. Like, who do you love to serve? Like, what lights you up these days?
Oh man, I just like going out and helping people and giving them some good advice, and hopefully, I might have a product or a service that I can provide for them and make $1 in the process.
Well, I mean, you just started in sales, is that right?
Yeah, absolutely. Just like about 4 minutes ago, I just graduated from the University of Sales in Chicago.
All right.
Yeah.
So for real though, how long have you been doing this for?
Everything I say is true because I'm in sales. You can trust me.
I love it.
I started selling as a child. I was out selling things, school for candy for school and all that. So when I got out of college, I immediately went headlong into door-to-door insurance sales out in the middle of nowhere, which was horrible. It was the worst thing ever. And luckily, I learned to just make a game out of it. And you have to thrive on rejection is one of my key phrases, because people just tell you no all the time, and you have to just get used to it.
So I want to be literal here for a second, because I think that oftentimes when it comes to sales, like, we catastrophize it in our heads. Like, we just make up the worst case scenario that could happen. But like, literally, when you were going door to door back in the day, what are some of the things that you actually had to face?
Oh, I had a couple of people that were ready to shoot me. You can laugh about it now, but there was one in particular. I went to this older family couple's house, and there was a car in the driveway just flying past me. I thought it was them leaving, and they actually had this insurance policy. I was just there to renew it, and they were home, and come to find out, long story short, the guy that they had chased off was the guy that was in the car passing me in the driveway, and he was a door-to-door vacuum cleaner salesman, and he was very high pressure and had, they kept saying no, no, no. And he eventually threw some dirt on their floor to demonstrate. And that was the last straw. So the old man was back there waving a pistol around ready, and his wife was like, "It's another one. He's with that guy," and they're screaming and stuff. And I calmed them down, and I explained to them that they had the policy and I didn't have anything to do with the previous salesperson.
Yes.
And they felt horrible. They were the nicest people in the world after that. They made me lunch, and, it was interesting. But, things like that happen when you're out there. You're just cold calling strangers. And I would never recommend doing that today. That was, 1985, 86.
Yes.
And, I'm straight out of college. I'm thinking I'm dapper. I've got my London fog coat on, and,
Nice.
and then from there, I went into selling office supplies and doing other things. And I eventually got back into selling insurance about 25 years ago. And, it's been an adventure, but it's fun. And it's always something.
Amazing. And you bring up a really good point, though, honestly, that I want to tackle here as we start off our conversation around sales, because the reality is that Chris and I are going to talk about sales and how to do it in a way that feels good and makes it fun and aligned and hopefully helps you close more sales, right? And hopes maybe we can even shift your perspective around sales as far as sales can be fun versus sales are slimy or sales are scary or sales are whatever the case may be. But I want to just acknowledge something first, you guys, is that we get to control ourselves. We get a chance to listen to podcasts like this or read books like what Chris has and learn the techniques, learn the art of sales. And we can show up in the best energy, we can show up in the best confidence, but at the end of the day, we cannot control what's going on in the minds of the persons that we're talking to. And so just like he was saying, that the person that had shown up at that door before he got there had already influenced their perspective. And at the end of the day, we get to influence people, right? But we can't control what somebody else is already thinking. And so I want to just give that a little room to breathe, because I think that sometimes if we don't make the sale, we think that there's something wrong with us, or maybe we just didn't do a good enough job, or maybe we just suck overall.
Yeah, I mean, it's, somebody.
Sometimes it's a person that has their own beliefs that is going to be impossible to break through, perhaps. I don't know. What do you have to say about that?
Well, it's, people will not buy for a million reasons that make absolutely no sense.
Yes.
They'll tell you, I mean, if you're you could be the greatest salesperson in the world and still have people not buy from you because they don't like the kind of car you drive, or they don't like the tone of your voice, or they don't like facial hair, or whatever. I mean, it's, it happens. And people, they'll just go like, I just don't want to buy from you, whatever. And one of the big misconceptions I've always said is people don't buy from companies, they buy from people.
Yep.
So I've walked into someone's home who has an insurance policy from some little company that, they're okay, but it's not the best company. And I'm walking in with like the gold standard, and they're like, nope, I'm going to just keep what I have, because that last lady that came in here, she was really nice and she took her time, and she very patient with me, and she let me talk to my kids or whatever. And it's not, she was buying from that person. She wasn't buying from the company.
Yep.
And so that's you can work for the greatest company in the world, and you can go to all the rah-rah sessions and they'll tell you how awesome they are and everything. Yeah. But in the long run, they're buying from you. And I had a guy one time, I went into his office and he wanted to know what kind of car I drove. That was the first thing he asked me. He said, well, successful people drive really good cars. And I was like, I don't know, a Chrysler? I mean, what do you do? I mean,
yeah. I mean, and that's what I want to say is that sometimes, like I said, we can take rejection as a personal attack on who we are.
Oh, yeah.
And there are some things that are outside of our control. And I just wanted to lay it out there because, again, like, you don't suck. Your product doesn't suck if you didn't get this sale. Sometimes it's out of your control. But what I want to do is really allow for us to empower ourselves on how can we show up so that we know at the end of the day, hey, I have an amazing product. I did my best, and I'm releasing the outcome because I can't control everything. So,
yeah, I mean,
all right.
And there's certain things you can control. You can control your mood when you walk in. I learned long ago to stop listening to talk radio in the car on my way to an appointment, because I would go into an appointment and I would be frustrated from what I was listening to on the radio. And then, people can feel that, they can sense that. And so it's like, I got to quit doing that. And so there's things that you can control, but there's certain things you can't, like you're saying, and you can't help it if they're having a bad day. They may have had an employee walk out on them abruptly, and then here you come with a big smile on your face, like, hey, things are awesome. And they're like, no, it's not.
No.
So
Right. Okay, so let's shift gears, though, to what we can control. And Chris, I want you to help us to fall in love with sales. Because, I mean, for real, there are people that are like, oh, if I could just let somebody else sell my stuff and I could just show up and do what I need to do every day, I'd be golden. Like, how do you help us to fall in love with sales?
I don't know if you can actually fall in love with sales all that much. I mean, it's just, I mean, that's like saying I'm going to fall in love with the ugliest girl at the prom or something. you know?
All right, I like this
I mean,
perspective.
it's one of those things where you have to kind of respect the process and
Mm,
understand that there is a process probably in your industry, no matter what you're selling.
yeah.
It doesn't matter if you're selling insurance or real estate or plumbing supplies or whatever. There's going to be some sort of a process, and you don't have to reinvent the wheel. Just go ask the guys that have been really good at it
Yeah.
before you and just say, what are you doing?
Yeah.
What's working for you? And if they can give you that answer, then you can embrace it, almost have to surrender to it a little bit and just say, look, this is the process. I'm going to understand that this is
Uh-huh.
who I'm working with now,
Yeah. Yeah.
and but the other part of it is just knowing that you're trying to do the best by that person.
Mhm.
And if your intentions are good, if you're going in going like, man, I just want to make a commission, I just want to make a sale.
Mhm.
It's all about, when I first started selling door to door accident insurance, there was a guy that worked with me, and his whole thing was your income is in that person's wallet, and you have to do everything you can to get it out of there. And that's where the slimy salesperson
Yes.
stereotype comes from.
Huh?
But if you go in and help you, and I have this product that can help you, and it only costs X amount of dollars, and kind of sell the sizzle, not the steak, but sell the sizzle and say, this is the benefits of this.
Uh-huh.
Would this help you? Then and you have to kind of take it down a notch also, and don't get so hyper and I'm so enthused about this product, because they may not be enthused. And
Mhm.
that's the key. So I try to talk to somebody, have a conversation.
Mhm.
And the best advice I can tell you is have several arrows in your quiver,
Okay.
and if you have several products, and let them talk. And then somewhere in there, you'll find that opening. And
Mm.
then you can pull that arrow out that fix their problem. It's not your problem, it's their problem that you're trying to fix.
Yes. So
And so
you're basically helping people treat people like people. It's about relationships, right? It's like be a human who wants to help another human and have a real conversation with a real human about maybe what problem they might have that you can fix.
and it's not transactional. It's not, look, we're not going to McDonald's and ordering a hamburger.
Yeah.
You walk up and you go, I'd like a hamburger, and they say that'll be $1, and you give them $1 and you walk away and you've got your hamburger.
Right.
It's, let's talk about things. Let's find out what's going on in your life. What are your goals? What are the landmines that are in between you and those goals? What can we do to remove those landmines? Is your goal to make $1 million in the next 10 years, or to start this business, or whatever? Just having a conversation. And like you're saying, it's relationship. And it's not, when we say relationship, people think like, oh, I'm going to fall in love with them or something. It's not that. It's just building a rapport, cracking that door open, earning a little bit of trust. And of course, the other person on the other side of this is always very defensive. Oh my God, another salesperson. He's going to. And so my technique is always just, let's tell a little joke,
Mhm.
bring the volume down, lower the tension, calm everybody down. Let's all take a deep breath. You know, and that's why I always self-medicate. No, I'm just kidding.
In the
That's my
back of the Chrysler.
and then I jump back in this Chrysler and I drive on rejection as I go home crying. So, so it's all, you have to put it in perspective. I hear people say it's a numbers game, and that's true to a point, but if you're out there and you're networking and you're doing all the other stuff in between, showing up at functions and just asking questions and
Yeah.
talking and letting the other person do all the talking. If you're sitting there doing all the talking, nobody cares, honestly. I mean, I can tell you all day about all the great features of certain insurance products, and you would probably just look at me like I was
Yeah.
an idiot. I can get that. I get that
Yeah.
all day
Yeah.
long anyway. But so just having a conversation with somebody and finding out what's bothering them, what keeps them up at night,
Mhm.
that kind of information. The cheesy, well, I noticed you got your photos of your kids up here. What, how old are they? What grade are they? Nobody cared. People pick up on that. Just like nowadays they're picking up on AI. And, you know, you
The
can
M
tell,
dashes are killing you guys. Like the M dashes in your posts are like
oh my God.
flag right there. So get rid of the
Yeah.
M dashes.
Where are you located at?
I'm in Minnesota.
Okay.
Mhm.
So we're down here in the South.
Yep.
And I tell people we don't have AI, we have AI. So, but yeah, I mean, you know, people can tell and just be authentic and talk to people. And a lot of it is playing the long game. That's the other thing that people don't get.
Yeah.
You know, when you're doing that kind of sales, it's just building that relationship up, knowing how to build up. If you build that relationship up, you're going to get referrals. And on average, I think I read somewhere like Wall Street Journal or something somewhere a few years ago. On average, people know 611 people. Okay. So you might not be interested in anything I have to say, but you might know 611 people that might. And if I can get in touch with one of them, that's another person that knows
Yeah.
611 people. So, you know, I don't have to advertise because I'm out there networking, building a
So
referral network.
So let's talk about this a little bit because I think that regardless of what industry you're in, because you might be listening to Chris in his early, days of insurance, and maybe they already have preset leads that they just follow up with, right? So you're like, but you're just handed this list of people. I think that we can all relate to the referral game, and I think we can all relate to the networking game as far as like how do you go into a networking experience, right? And build a relationship so that you can actually start to have that sales conversation. Can we start there and talk
Sure.
about that a little bit?
Yeah, I mean, I go to several networking group. I'm in several networking groups
Uh-huh.
here. I'm in the Myrtle Beach, South Carolina area,
Uh-huh.
and I'm in several networking groups here. But I'm also do networking on LinkedIn and other. You know, I'm licensed to sell insurance in about 6 states, but I'm not going to show up in Florida at a mixer anytime soon. So, you know, I mean, the certain principles work the same, but of course, in person you just talking to people. If you go to a function, a chamber after hours or something, and you see somebody standing there in the corner who's the wallflower, that's the person you want to talk to because they're there, they're uncomfortable, and they don't know anybody. Go up and talk to them
Yeah.
and don't talk to them about you. I mean, you can say your name or whatever, but tell me about you. What's your business like? How's it going? Is the economy helping you? Whatever, just generic questions.
Uh-huh.
And that's the kind of thing you want to do because guess what? That person knows 611 people, right?
And so where do you, at what point and how do you do it where you go from that getting to know you, small talk, building relationships, to transitioning to really understanding where they may have a problem that you could possibly solve?
What I do, my little secret is that, of course, I'm not going to have that big conversation there at that event.
Yep.
So what I do is my goal there is to make an appointment. I want to make a one-on-one appointment with them. And I'll say, hey, you know what? I forgot my business cards, which is I might have one, but who knows?
Yeah.
Can I get your business card? And I'll give you a call in the next couple of days and we'll just when it's more appropriate and maybe we can go grab a cup of coffee and just talk. And that's all you got to say. People are happy to, sure, I'd be happy to meet with you. When you pick up the phone the next day and you call them, they know who you are. They know what the purpose of the call is. They know that you're going to set a time to go get some coffee and you've just solved all your problems right there. Now you can move on to that one-on-one where you have that discussion, you know.
Excellent. Okay, so take us through that process then, because I do very similar things, and it's always fun just to kind of hear what people are doing because I love getting to know people. And some people that I've talked to that I've helped get this, I guess, this fear of having an alternate agenda and are afraid that they're going to go into this with something and they get themselves all worked up into a overthinking paralysis situation, and then they don't end up talking about their business at all, for example, during this. And so I wanted to just hear a little bit about, so you meet somebody for one-on-one to coffee to get to know them. Tell us a little bit about that process.
Yeah, I mean, well, what I tell them is that we're just going to talk and see if we can help each other do with some referrals. Maybe I can refer you, you can refer me, but we won't know until we sit down and have that talk.
Absolutely.
And then somewhere in there, I'll throw out a little bit about my business. This is what I do, and then I'll just let them talk. And there again, it goes back to then looking for that opening.
Yes.
Sometimes I'll take out notes. I might pull out a legal pad and say, do you mind if I take some notes or whatever? I just want to, and at that point it kind of clicks in their head like, oh my God, this guy's might try to sell me something. Another little trick I use is a trifold brochure.
Okay.
And on the back of it, on the front of it, I have my name and contact information, whatever.
Okay.
Inside is a bunch of testimonials and stuff that nobody ever looks at. So you can put all kinds of stuff in there. Like Chris was a serial killer in the early 60s or whatever, and nobody's going to catch on. Nobody's reading it. But on the back of it, I just put like a menu of everything I provide.
Okay.
And while I'm talking to them, I'll say, oh, here you go, by the way, and I'll slide it over to them. And it's funny because they act like they're listening, but they're looking at that little menu of things. And it's right in the middle of it sometimes. So, oh man, I didn't know you sold disability insurance. That's what I've been looking for.
Okay.
Ding, ding, ding. And so that kind of thing. But sometimes we'll just talk. And if they tell me, well, I just went through a nasty divorce and I don't have a penny to my name, great. You're not going to, sorry, I'm not trying to be mean, but you're not going to really do anything for me. I'm saying that on the inside. I'm not saying on the outside.
Right.
But I do know that this person knows 611 people, and maybe I can get some referrals out of them at this point.
Okay. So let's say that you were somebody that actually could help that person who is going through that and doesn't have a penny to their name. And you're like, holy cow, like that's actually what I do. Let's just say that they're a financial coach or a divorce.
Well, if they don't have a penny to their name, they're not going to help me out personally because I'm not going to be able to sell them any insurance or anything.
Yeah. But what if you were that makes sense? Like if you heard a problem point that they have that you were like, well, that's exactly what I do.
Yeah. I don't know because I'm trying, unless they know somebody that I can help. That if this guy's broke, he's not going to take on a new monthly payment. Let's put it that way.
Yes.
And so I'm not going to sit down and help him budget his, new life as a single guy.
Right. Yeah.
So, I kind of cut my losses at that point. Sometimes I had one guy, I met him and his business partner, and they had opened up this new computer web-based business or something. I don't know. It was some high-tech thing. And I sat down with them. I met them at their office. It was great. And then nothing happened. So about a year later, I see him out and about. He goes, well, I went solo and me and my partner split up. And I said, great. Well, let's get together. And I took him out to eat. We were supposed to meet at one little place and he decided he wanted to go to another place that was a little bit more expensive. And we get there and the next thing you know, he's ordering beers. I mean, this is like lunch, and $40 later, I'm like, this guy's not going to buy anything. And he's just trying to mooch a meal off of me. Yeah. And you cut your losses and get out of that one. There's other fish in the sea.
Yeah. But let's say that you're in a conversation with somebody and you actually hear them say something that would indicate to you that they could use some insurance help.
Yeah. Oh, well, in that case, what I just say is, well, let me get some information from you. And I'm going to go back to the office and I'm going to work very hard to come up with something that fits in your budget. I always ask them what their budget is.
Okay.
Even if it's something that if they say, well, my budget is $30 a month and they're not even in the ballpark, I'm going to say, well, we'll do the best we can. And I'll set another appointment to come back and we'll get back together next week and I'll bring you some proposals. And how does that sound? Is that okay with you? And that's usually they're like, sure, because I'm going to get another free cup of coffee out of it. Yeah. And, and that's when, it might take 2 or 3 times to sit down with somebody and figure out what they want. And what you're trying to do is come back with the best scenario is come back with 3 proposals. You want to come back with something real cheap, something high-end Cadillac, and something in the middle. And they almost always take the one in the middle. They don't want to look cheap, but they
Yes.
know that they can't afford that Cadillac version, and they'll come back and they'll go, well, this one looks okay. I can take that one.
I totally, though, that is so consistent with the things that I've learned in sales as well. It's like you have a high, a low, and a medium, and they usually go for the middle. And lately, though, I've been hearing people say that people are struggling with decision fatigue and to not give them too many decisions. I haven't necessarily seen that, but I'm just curious if you have.
Well, I don't know if it's decision fatigue as much as it is like what they call it paralysis by analysis, where you give them too
Yes.
many options.
Right.
And that's hard there's sometimes when there's just so many variables in a product, like a long-term care insurance plan, where there's just so many things that you can change. And so I try to give them three, and I throw out there like, yeah, there's some other stuff. We can get it here or there, but that's a conversation further down the line.
Yeah.
The big part is just getting them in the first place to talk to you.
Yes. Yes. And I think that's something that I think more leads equals hopefully more sales, right? So what are the ways that you have met people? And I'm gonna bring in referrals into this mix also as well. So how does somebody get more leads?
There again, a great way is just if you're meeting somebody, the first thing I do is I say, put my phone number in your phone right now. I don't know if you've ever seen people and they'll give you like a stack of business cards.
Yeah.
They'll give you like 3 or 4 business cards and they go, here's my card, and give some to your friends. Nobody wants to walk around with all your business cards.
They'll have a fanny pack of business cards
Yeah.
that I can out, like, oh, you need a plumber? I got one for you.
Yeah,
Here you go.
exactly. Nobody wants to do that. There's things that people don't do. And that's I had a lady last week give me like a stack of business cards. But the better idea is just say, look, we're just meeting for the first time, and I want you to go ahead and put my phone number in your phone before we leave. And that way, an hour from now, a week from now, you might have a question and you can call me. And they go, oh, okay. And they put my phone number in their phone. They don't ever call. The funny thing is, a year from now, they're talking to somebody and they go, oh, I know somebody that could help you with that. I've got his phone number in my phone. They didn't have to walk around with my business cards. They already got my information. So it's a great little trick, and and people love that because then I'm already in your phone, so I don't have to give you all my cards, which business cards I'm not a big fan of anyway. They belong in fish bowls for
I love that. I
somewhere.
remember being on a train. Oh my gosh, this was like 2017. And I was on this train down in Atlanta, and I was talking to this guy. We completely hit it off. And I'm like, do you have a card? And he's like, who has a card? What's your LinkedIn? Like, and I was like, I loved it. I'm like, I never thought about that. But he's so right. Like, if I can find a way to easily connect with you in some way that doesn't require me to carry around something or find something in a drawer somewhere.
Yeah, I mean,
it lowers the resistance points.
and
right?
cards are expensive, when it's all said and done. And I remember going to the local chamber of commerce here years ago, and they would have a orientation breakfast for the new members. And the lady would tell the new members, when you show up at any networking event, you bring all your cards and make sure you hand them out to everybody. And I'm like, that's the worst advice ever. Because some stranger comes up to me and puts a card in my hand, I'm going to look at it and I'm probably going to take it home and it's going to end up in the recycling bin.
Yeah.
I'm not saving them.
Right.
I might put them in my database, or I might say, great, can I put you on my email list or whatever? But that's about it. If you come up to me and you're offering something that I absolutely do not need, why are you wasting your business card that costs money on that?
Right. Right. And around these same lines of tips, I would love to know about how you go about asking for referrals.
I usually cry a lot and just beg. No.
Feel sorry for me, please. I'm trying to feed my dog.
I know, really. Yeah. Something I learned years ago is if you have an existing client and somebody you're on a good relationship with, you don't even have to be sneaky about it. You can just say, hey, I'm kind of looking for some business and you're looking for some business. Why don't we have lunch next week? And I'll bring you 3 people and you can bring me 3 people and we'll just have a referral lunch. And I'm not trying to sell you anything. I just need some referrals. Yeah. And you'd be amazed at how many people will say yes to that. And they'll bring you 3 5 referrals, and as long as you uphold your end of the bargain and bring them some people as well, it always works out well. I've gotten some good referrals that way. It's not subtle, you know. It's just, hey, I hate that old timey way. Well, I got you through a referral, and I was hoping you could give me some referrals because it's awkward and people.
What about for your current clients? Because I think that if you, like you mentioned, when you build really solid relationships with people and you serve them really well, hopefully those are low hanging fruit. How do you typically broach that conversation with your current clients?
I tell you a great trick is a feed list. And so if I know that you are an attorney and that you're in this zip code somewhere locally,
Okay.
I can Google attorneys in that zip code, and it's going to give me a bunch of lists, a bunch of names, and I
Mhm.
can go back and I'll print it up. I'll make it nice and neat with a list of people. And when I go see that attorney that's my client, I just kind of slide it over and I say, hey, I'm thinking about seeing some of these people. They're in your area here. Do you know any of them? Do you know which ones I should take off the list? Which ones are going to be the ones I don't want to deal with?
Okay.
And they'll, oh yeah, you don't want to see this guy. He's a jerk. Or this lady, she's really nice. Go see her. And I'll say, is it okay if I just mention your name and just tell them that you said something nice about them? And they're like, sure, fine, because they did just say something nice about them.
Yeah.
And then you can pick up the phone and say, I was just talking to Sam. He said that you were nice and that you wouldn't make me cry. And I just wanted to come by and say hello and introduce myself. And that's all it is, And they'll say, sure, if you saw Sam, he's a good guy and whatever.
Mhm.
And that's a great way of working it, just because you're not having to make people go through their phone and do that little trick. The other thing you can do is if I'm talking to Sam and I say, hey, I know that Mary Johnson up the street, and I've really been wanting to get in touch with Mary Johnson because she's a great prospect for me. If she was to walk in right now, would you introduce me to her?
Mhm.
And sure, I would. Could you do me a favor and pick up the phone and do a phone introduction? That way, Sam's making the call and says, hey, I got this guy, Chris. He's not a psychopath. Can he come by and say hello to you?
Yeah.
And, that works much better than, well, I talked to Sam and he said to call you.
Mhm.
Because then what happens is that person calls Sam and goes, why are you sending my name out to people? And then poor Sam gets yelled at. And so
Right.
nobody wants that. So you have to kind of finesse it a little bit and
Mhm.
put yourself in the other person's shoes. Do they really want to make that phone call? If they like you enough, they'll pick up the phone and say, hey, let
Yeah.
this guy come in and say hey to you. And that works as well.
Yeah. I feel like there's so many things that, you've written several books on sales.
Too. Yeah.
So you guys, she's got a lot to say, right?
Well,
So
my books are a little snarky. They're not meant to be like motivational books. They're more like, here's real things that happened to me.
yeah.
And yeah, hopefully the first book is called You're Going to Be Great at This, and the other one is called Nearly Motivated, much like myself. And so they're meant to be like, here's information I wish somebody had given me when I
Yeah.
was first getting into the business,
Uh-huh.
because this is stuff that it took me 30 some years to learn,
Yeah. Yeah. And
and
I think that, you mentioned that you've been selling since you were a little kid. So was it ever hard for you? I know that you mentioned to me last time we chatted that you try to make a game out of sales so that you don't take it, you didn't, I guess, back in the day, take it so personally, or rejection so personally. So tell us a little bit about that.
it's when I was single, my opening line, and here I was with all my friends, and we'd be in a little college bar or whatever,
Yeah.
and the opening line was, I thrive on rejection. Can I buy you a beer? Or something. And you try to make a win-win situation out of it, because they're going to shoot you down. And so after she said no, I'd walk by and high five my friends, whatever, trying to make a joke out of it as we cried on the inside as much as we could. Um, yeah, so it is, you got to just kind of not, you can't, here again, you can't take it all personally. If you internalize every time you get rejected, you're going to just be suicidal by the end of the day.
Yeah.
So it's just, okay. Yesterday I had a phone call with a lady, and I had been talking to her about some insurance for about 2 weeks, and she had all kinds of pre-existing conditions. And I was like, if I get it, I get it. If not, I understand. I've been doing this long enough to know that's a hard one. And sure enough, she was like, look, I've already got something. I appreciate your time.
Mhm.
Thanks for doing the work, but I've already got something that's in place and it's less expensive, and I don't want to have to take on a new one. And I said, that's fine. Because, back to, she knows 611 people. And if she and I are still on good terms and she's still happy, she appreciated that I took the time, I can still go to her and say, hey, I heart referrals if you're in the mood, So,
And I think that one of the things that you made me think of in that space is that people oftentimes associate action with requiring confidence first. And I think that what we need to acknowledge is that confidence comes from action. So when we are rejected, when we are willing to say what we need to say, and then we're rejected, and we prove to ourselves that we didn't die, we prove to ourselves that nobody, pulled out the shotgun, when we prove to ourselves that we didn't spontaneously combust, and that when we walk down the grocery store aisle, that people don't flee when they see us coming, right? Because in our heads, that's what we think is going to happen. I remember the first time that I started posting online about my skincare business when I started that way back in 2016. In my mind, I had this image that when somebody would see that I'm posting about a business online, that they're just going to assume that when I see them at the grocery store, that I'm going to pounce on them and ask them what their eye cream regimen is. And so in my mind, I literally was like imagining that people were like, would see me in the soup and they'd run the other way. And really that didn't happen. I just made it up in my mind. And so I think that the things that we do for ourselves really holds us back from taking action. And so then I just found myself that I posted consistently. I would see people at the grocery store, and by God, they didn't run away, And I proved to myself that all the things that I was afraid of weren't actually happening, and that action created confidence. And eventually I was able to get to that point. And I think that sometimes, right, just getting ourselves out there and being willing to ask the questions and proving to ourselves that we don't die is the thing that can help us get over that hump. Do you
yeah.
agree with that?
Yeah. I mean, there was times, there was times when I was going up to people and just going, man, I just found this great product. And after a while I'd see them, and you could like read the body language. They were like, they were just dodging bullets, or as a friend of mine used to call it commission breath, it's like
Right.
they could just smell it on you. And so, you have to be confident in a sense. And I always say confidence comes from just small successes. If you just get a few little wins under your belt, then you can do it. If you don't have those wins, then you're just being cocky. And that's a whole other thing. My old man used to always go, all you need is 10 pounds of confidence. And I'm like, from where? Where am I going to get? You don't just go out and just act confident sometimes. And there's also, and I'm sure you're familiar with this, the whole imposter syndrome
Oh,
thing,
yeah, of course.
where, it's like, well, I really don't feel like I'm really, the person that I'm saying that I am, and I'm a success or whatever. And that's common with everybody as well.
Yeah.
It's just a matter of, I guess it's a balance of knowing I know what I'm capable of. And I know when I go down the soup aisle at the grocery store and I see somebody that knows me, I just want them to know this is what I do. I don't, I'm not there to sell them something in the soup aisle, but I'll talk to them and I'll say, hey, if you need anything, let me know. That's the way I end every conversation.
Mhm.
When I talk to somebody, and it's just second nature, hey, if you need something, call me, let me know. And that's it. The best part about that is nobody ever calls me, but they know that the offer was made. And, it's not like they're going to call me from jail at 3 a.m,
Yeah.
or, I'm bankrupt and I need $10,000 or something, because I'm not going to give it to them. But they know that, hey, I have a question about something. Can you answer it for me? Sure. I'm making myself available to them. So that's, the soup aisle at the grocery store. I've run into a lot of people that I know. And most, the weird thing about sales, the way I do it, is almost all my clients have become friends of mine over the
Oh, yeah.
years.
Oh yeah.
You know,
That's actually, I'm going to pause real quick because this is something I think that some people need to hear. This has been my experience. I want to know if it's yours, that I have more clients that become friends than friends that become clients.
exactly.
And so just to hear that, guys, because there's nothing wrong with you if your friends don't become your first clients. I remember when I had my skincare business and I write down my list of who I think are going to be my first customers. I still had that list. And guess what? Very few of them were ever customers. And then what happens? You think you suck, that something's wrong with you, that nobody believes in you, that they're not going to talk to you again. They're going to run away from you in the soup aisle. But my point is that like all these things that go on in our minds, when in reality, I have more clients that have become friends than I have friends that have become clients.
Yeah, that's absolutely true. And I know a guy, he used to tell me when I first got into insurance sales, he was like, I never sell insurance to any of my neighbors around my house. He goes, because first and foremost, they're going to, when they have a problem, they're going to come walking across your yard at 10 o'clock at night, wanting to know why their bill, they couldn't wait till the next morning or whatever.
Yeah.
And, but he says, I don't want to be in that situation. Years ago, I worked for a company and they wanted us to go and get 200 names.
Mm-hmm.
These are the 200 people you're going to call when you start. And I refused to put friends and or family on that list. I went out and I found business contacts, chamber members, whatever. I didn't want to go through the real low hanging fruit on the first run because you knew that once you're done with that list of people that you already know, you're not going to have you're not going to have a lot. It's going to get harder.
Yeah.
So I went ahead and just went straight to the deep end of the pool and said, I want those hard ones first. And that made it a lot. Then you just know what you're going to get into.
Mm.
And
that's a very real thing. A lot of my clients actually are in network marketing, and they burn through their warm market. And then what happens is they plateau because they don't have anybody else to talk to. Or
right.
they think that they don't have anybody else to talk to. And I really like that perspective because you're like, all right, I'm just going to go in the deep end right off the bat. I'm going to prove to myself that I can do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And the worst thing you want to do is make your friends not want to be your friends anymore because every time they see you coming, they're like, oh my God, here he comes again with trying to sell me something else. So I'd rather do it the other way where I have friends clients that become friends. And I look at we used to have like the database and you're supposed to tell them happy.
Yeah.
All that stuff. And now they're all friends with me on Facebook. I'd say 90% of my clients are friends with me on Facebook. So their birthday's already come up. I don't have to deal with that. And I have a business page. So I invite them to my business page and they can see stuff. And if I'm throwing little tidbits out there 3 or 4 times a week and they can see it and they go, oh, okay, I didn't know you sold this. That's what I need to get.
Yeah.
And sometimes I'll put on there that I'll have a little meme of somebody crying who needs referrals or something, People will buy from you if you can make them chuckle a little bit. Especially you take something like life insurance. I mean, we're talking about people dying. Nobody wants to talk about, well, let's talk about how your family's going to do when you're dead. So you have to kind of lighten the mood and a chuckle in there. I'll tell you a great story. I had a lady client locally here and I knew her. I kind of knew her. She's a Greek lady. I'm Greek. We go to the same church, whatever. And she said, we were talking and she said, I went to the funeral home and I've already picked out everything I need. I know exactly how much money I need. I want $15,000 of life insurance. That's it. No more, no less. And I want you to go get me a couple of quotes for $15,000. I said, okay. Went back to her house about a week later and, I had a $15,000 and a $20,000 just to mess with her. I kind of knew her. I wanted to pick on her a little bit. So I went in there with a $20,000 one. It was probably an extra $6 or $7 a month premium. Okay. And I walked in and I showed them to her. She got really mad. And she was like, what is this? I told you what I wanted. And I want this is for my funeral. And And I looked at her and I said, what if you want an open bar at your funeral? And she did that. She chuckled and she was like, okay. And she bought it. So, I mean, we always say the difference between a Greek wedding and a Greek funeral is just one less drunk.
Oh
So,
my gosh, I love
you know,
that. That's fun. It's just knowing the people and having a good relationship. And I think that what I'm gathering from you, Chris, just listening to you and having this conversation is that you genuinely care about people. And I think that at the end of the day, you guys, when it comes down to sales, like when you know that you genuinely care about people, that you want to help them, that you are a real person who helps real people, magic can happen for sure. And I wanna, like I said, you speak on stages, like I call you my expert, dude. So is there anything else that you want to say as we wrap up this conversation? Anything we haven't touched on that you're like, you have to know this?
I don't know. I mean, I want to invite everybody to listen to my podcast as
Yeah.
well. It's called "You're Going to Be Great at This," and the episodes are kind of short. And they're if I'm solo, it's probably about 8 or 9 minutes because I run out of gas. And and if I have a guest, it might be 15 minutes long. I have a very short attention span, so I don't even want to listen to myself very much. But I try to just throw out kind of nuggets like that and help people, just there again, here's a tip or trick. Here's something that you can do in this situation. Or if I have a guest, they might tell us some stories about some travails they've had in the business or whatever. And sales is the skills are transferable. It doesn't matter if you're selling insurance or skincare products or anything. You're trying to get a kid to eat their vegetables. I mean, anything. Sales is just asking somebody to do something and asking them to do it now. That's basically what it is.
It is.
And so if you're selling direct sales or network marketing or whatever, and you're out there, the skills are the same. Play. My best advice is be prepared to play the long game. It'll pay off in spades in the long run for you. And yeah, we all have to eat now. I get that, but don't worry. And the second piece of advice is find a mentor and find somebody who doesn't have any kind of financial relationship to you. Don't get a sales manager. Get somebody that's totally something that can just help you out and give you some good advice.
I see what you're saying. So not like your boss.
I mean, I went and found,
Yeah, somebody else. Yeah.
I was lucky enough to have an old retired insurance agent who just befriended me, and he felt sorry for me, and he's passed away now, but he used to let me. I'd call him up and just ask questions. I'd say, what do I do in this case? And he'd say, oh, that guy, blah blah blah, and he just let me bounce ideas off of him. He didn't have any financial stake in whether or not I sold anything or not, and that was a good thing. And there's organizations out there like SCORE and stuff. So that's all. I just take it easy and read my books. And if you need a speaker for your conference, let me know.
I love it. I love it so much. You guys make sure that you go to the show notes, find all the ways that you can connect with Chris, his podcast, his books, speaking, all the things are in the show notes. I am so glad you're here. Thanks for just allowing me to have a little of my sassy side today during this episode, and to just let sales be fun and instead of it being so dang heavy all the time. So thanks so much for Chris for being here. And you guys, I will see you all next week at the same time, same place. Bye, everybody.
So much for listening. If you enjoyed this episode, be sure to subscribe and leave a review. Each honest review helps me spiral up so that I can serve you even better. Whether you're feeling a lack of impact, income, or time freedom, or perhaps you're just ready for massive momentum in your business, let's chat. Apply for a breakthrough call so that you can gain clarity, identify what's holding you back, and make a plan to spiral up. Head on over to iam-lifebydesign.com/breakthrough or access the link in the show notes. For immediate support, log into our community, the Better Club. We focus on inspiration, tactical guidance, and support. This is a community that wants to be better, do better, and have better in life and in business, and we're going to help you do the same. Let's spiral up, friends.